Hi, welcome to Midday Roast with Team SI. I'm Laney Bird, and with me this week is Whitney Burgess.
Yay.
Midday Roast is a chance for us here at Team SI to share what's going on in the marketing, technology, digital data worlds with our friends on the internet. It's a podcast, it's a Facebook Live, we put it on YouTube, there's some blogs out there about it. Just anywhere that our friends are out there, we want you to be able to interact with us. So it's not just a one-way channel. So if you have a comment or question, you can put it in the comment section. We want you to like it and share it with your friends. And even if you're not doing it live, you can still put a comment and we'll get back on and answer your question. With me, like I said, is Whitney Burgess. Whitney is the Director of Digital Strategy with us here at Team SI. And today we're talking about what does tracking and measurement do, or better yet, how and why we track stuff, and why what we do is trackable. And it's not just digital is trackable.
Right.
We're going to make the premise, the theory, that everything that we do, traditional or digital, there is a way to track and measure it.
Yes, and actually prove ROI, is it effective, make decisions on it.
Because if you ain't got data, you can't make a decision.
Exactly, and there's been a lot of conversation about this particular topic. I know it was shared in our office, and I've even seen clients of mine share it. I've heard different people in the industry talk about it. So the article that we're talking about specifically today. So 7 days ago, last week, Procter & Gamble announced that they were cutting their digital ad spend by $200 million because they couldn't tell if it was working.
Which really made us mad, to be honest, because we know when our digital campaigns run, whether they're working or not.
Exactly.
And that we optimize our campaigns and we move budget to those that are working.
Yes. And it was insane to me. Like, if I was spending that kind of money, or I was spending any money, and I couldn't tell if it works, I would absolutely do the same thing.
So we completely support Procter & Gamble not spending money with their current agencies, and they need to go find someone else who can prove to them that they're working.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it's transparency in data. It's using that information to make educated, strategic decisions, and then actually monitoring campaigns. It's not a,
it's
turn
not
it on,
set it and forget it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely, it's not that. In fact, I was having a conversation with a couple of my friends in preparation for this, and talking about, what about billboards and how does that kind of work? And a lot of it really comes down to, well, what was the purpose of the billboard? Was it to know if it's working or not? What part of the strategy was it? Was it a directional board? Is it about how far is it located? Did you put a special offer on it? So there's different ways to even use something like a billboard to see if it has an impact on your business if you're using it as part of a strategic plan.
Right, really. And when we talk about planning big picture, we plan in a traditional manner where we're planning different stages from awareness, consideration, interest to action. And we're trying to move people through the funnel, through those stages, to where they take action with us in some form. And normally that's how we can measure in the end when action came.
Yeah.
Now, if you can look at timing of different things, so like a TV commercial, we can actually look at the timing. This TV commercial ran at this point in time, and then we saw this many people in the next 15, 20 minutes visit our website. Or better yet, I love this example. We have a client who we got them on the morning news to talk about their home remodeling business, and we saw their website traffic jump, and we saw phone calls jump for their business immediately in the aftermath of that public relations, where we reached out. So we can even measure public relations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which has been a huge part of it. And that's where, the soapbox that we're on about not being able to understand the transparency of the data, there's a lot of different factors to that. Were you asking the right questions? Were you asking someone to report real numbers to you? Because I think that...
Vanity numbers.
Yes.
Okay. This is a big, soapbox for Whitney.
Yes.
Vanity numbers. Tell us what you mean by a vanity number.
So a vanity number would be something that, like a Facebook like. So if you have a bunch of likes on your page, that is typically considered a vanity number because it's not a conversion number. That number is not attributed to an actual sale, actual closed business.
And it even doesn't move toward it. Because, I could say an impression, in some cases it's not a vanity number, but it's some number that's taking you, it's part of the measurement tool to see how we're progressing down the funnel.
Yes. So it's effective in saying, are people seeing the information? Are they aware of it? So yes, it does have a value, but it's not going to... It's not the sole decision maker of did somebody actually buy something? And specifically thinking about Facebook and other social media platforms, the struggle with those platforms and building a strategy specifically on likes, it's important because you want to have likes. You want to know that you have an audience. However, the more important metric is engagement. And it's how many people are actually interacting with your business, with your messaging, and with your posts that are going out. So engagement is much more important because I think we talked about this
2 or 3 weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago. So with your engagement...
So go back and look at the archives and,
yes.
and watch that one too.
Yes. So it's relevant because engagement is actually the percentage of people who are seeing your content and actually interacting with it, liking, sharing, reacting, commenting, all those particular metric points that you can measure effectiveness of what an actual message is. So the likes are great to just like, do we have awareness? But a like is not necessarily attributed to closed business or conversion.
Well, and I think even in today's scenario, likes are even less useful. I mean, and really, do we even have awareness? I don't know if they even point us to that. I mean, I wouldn't pay for a likes campaign on Facebook because having someone like your page doesn't really mean anything anymore. It doesn't mean there's any more likelihood that they're actually going to see any messages you put out on Facebook.
Exactly. I mean, I totally agree with you. I do understand that a lot of people still want to see those numbers go up, so that's fine. Like, you can absolutely run a likes campaign, you can get those numbers up, you can build it organically, but just be thoughtful about, is that a metric that's really you're being held accountable for? If you're being held accountable for how many pages likes does the business have, then keep running that. If not, let's think a little bit more down funnel and think, what are the metrics attributed to sales?
And if you are being held accountable for it, there's probably an education for you that you need to educate someone that may not be a measurement we want to measure.
Right, and I think that 5 years ago, it was an extremely important metric.
Right.
It's just that those metrics have evolved because there's so much more that we can track.
All right, so let's step back and try to be a little bit more simpler and talk about really what data is available for people to measure how their digital campaigns are doing. So can you take a client of yours, a case study that we've probably published, and tell me how we measured the success of that campaign? I've got a couple in my head that I know that you are an expert on.
So I've got a B2B, business-to-business example, and I've got a B2C, business-to-consumer example.
Okay, let's start to B2B, and then we'll go to B2C.
So for B2B, one of our success metrics are leads. We need to actually get people into a CRM database so that we have the ability to talk to them and close business, okay? So the goal there is we have different conversion points. We want people to either sign up for a newsletter, we want them to download a report, we want them to download a case study. So those are some different examples that they could opt into receiving content because we're building a database. So the conversion point is people in databases. We've used social media and only digital media to be able to run that, which can be display campaigns to make sure that the frequency is up on these particular targeted markets. We're using LinkedIn as a platform and actually using LinkedIn lead forms so people can actually opt into the content within the platform itself. We've used Twitter and been able to increase awareness because it's video views and it really has a high audience that interacts on that platform. And what we've seen overall, I know in one of the test campaigns that we ran, we had 241 likes or 241 new contacts from a conversion point within about a 4-month period. So those were actually new people we had not been in contact with in very niche targeted audiences. So that was a primary success metric.
Yeah, the other thing that I'm really proud of from this particular campaign is really your cost per lead. You started out right in the middle of what a B2B cost per lead campaign is. But now we're about 4 or 5 months in and you dropped your cost per lead in half.
Yes.
So we're way below even the minimum threshold because we haven't set it and forgot it.
Exactly.
Because we're sitting there and our digital media team is optimizing the campaigns every step as we go.
Yes, and we work on that. We're constantly looking at, if it's rotating in fresh content. It's looking at, we run A/B tests on the page to see if the headline particularly has a higher conversion point for people to fill out a form than not. So the whole campaign is set up strategically to learn and continue to pivot and optimize so that we continue to drop that cost per lead. Because I think when we first ran it, we were at about a $200 cost per lead. We're down to about $65 right now.
Exactly. Cool. That's a real exciting campaign. You know, I'll go ahead and make a plug right now. If you're a business-to-business client, business has changed in a dramatic way in the last 3 or 4 years on a digital platform where we can actually target your audience, and we'd love to have an opportunity to work with you. And you should reach out to us on our website or give us a call here.
Yeah.
So, okay, B2C, business to consumer.
Okay.
What's your example here?
So this is a retail client, and they launched a new product, and they are in very specific rural markets. And we needed the ability to use digital media to get people to buy a new product. So there were a couple of barriers in that from proving an ROI standpoint. The website, it has a lot of friction in the process, so there's a lot of steps.
Right.
So that was something that when we were setting up the metrics and the conversion points, we allowed for that to be part of the strategy so that we could watch that buyer's journey and map it out and see how people actually moved through that process.
See where the friction is the highest, really.
Exactly. Yeah. So it helped provide data for other things that outside the campaign that attribute to how is the website set up, etc. So what we saw is that we used Facebook click to web campaigns. We used display video or display targeting and display retargeting, and we used that in search engine marketing, so SEM pay per click. So we used all that to promote this similar message to all these niche audiences. We got people in the first 3 weeks. We got people to go to the landing page and go through the first step, but they weren't converting. So we continued to watch them. Within two more weeks after that, they were going back and actually converting and getting all the way to the confirmation page, meaning that they actually purchased the new product. That number went from the first 2 weeks not seeing anybody get to the conversion point to now I think we're at about 200 people who have purchased in those niche rural audiences for this retail client, who've gone all through those hoops, and that was just kind of in a timing. So we're watching how those particular pieces are working, but those are huge success metrics. The confirmation page, we know that they bought something. So even though I can't see the customer's database, we've set up a path by which we could make prove the transparency that they converted.
And one of the things I really like about this process, that examples in both the B2B and the B2C, is that there's the campaign is set up overall in a way where measurement is built into the campaign, so it's baked in. But also the campaign is built in a way where we can change the creative, we can change the headline, we can change the image, we can change the platform, we can change the type of ad that we're running on the platform, and we build a campaign with a lot of different variables down the way that we can tweak and play with to optimize as we go. You know, when we decreased the lead from $200 to $65, that's how it was, we had all these variables that we were playing with and tweaking down the way. And this same campaign, which is a much more recent one, is still in the middle of optimizing it.
Yes.
There's a lot of other variables that we can play with that we're measuring. So we're creating data that actually shows us ROI, but also improves our ROI as we go, because it shows us at which stage that we're failing, or which stage and what the improvements the options that we have that we can make along the way.
Exactly, because what we're doing in both cases is the marketing strategy is based on the consumer and what their experience is and how they want to receive that information. And by mapping their journey and collecting data at each point, that helps us inform what's going to be a better experience for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, ROI.
Okay.
Big picture. Last statement.
One of the biggest things I see with companies who are struggling to get the ROI and get that measurement down is that their business is set up in a very siloed form. Connecting the marketing to the conversions and the sales team is a lot of friction. So that's
and I work a lot in healthcare.
Yes.
Huge barrier for healthcare.
Huge barrier.
Connecting and you've worked with healthcare clients with me, connecting the marketing to that. So we just have to say, well, we made people aware. They knew it was there. We'll do the brand survey.
Yes.
Name recalls much higher.
Absolutely. So it's important when you're building campaigns and strategies that even when there's those frictions in getting access all the way through the sales and conversion points, that's what we really specialize in, is we're going to map it all the way, and even if we can't get every single thing, well, what is something that we could do to help you as a marketing team or you as a business see that this actually was attributed to your success.
Right. It's really helping becoming a business consultant along
Yes.
the way and a marketing consultant to help you structure the way your business is operating, that you can prove the ROI of your marketing spend.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, and that's something we're really strong at. We have extensive experience in now. Something that probably 5 years ago or 4 years ago when I first came to Team SI, or even 3 years ago, I think you were here, 2.5, something like that.
It's 3 years on the 28th of this month.
3 years on the 28th, Whitney has been here. So that's, but when you came 3 years ago, we were not quite prepared. Even in the fields, the auto
Absolutely.
dealer fields, which is all about leads, the advances that the industry's made, the way that we've invented how we can measure leads along the way have really changed how we can show ROI. And I think that's, we want to go full circle to how we started. I think that's why we were so offended when we read this, Procter & Gamble, if we go back for a whole year, they pounded the pavement and said, we got to have our ROI, we got digital people have to be transparent, they have to show us that it works. And we're like, well, yeah, this is easy. We could do this.
Right.
And
Procter & Gamble, give us a call.
yeah, we could do this. There should be a lot of people that could do this.
Yeah.
And now the guy's coming back and saying we're cutting our spend by $200 million because you didn't do it. And we're like, what?
Yeah, they couldn't tell if it worked. That's what's so insane. It's like there's so many different ways to show the value in this, and to
Specifically, if you have a $200 million budget.
Exactly.
It becomes a lot easier to show value.
Absolutely does. And then on top of that, partnering, and that's what we're really good at, is the partnering it with the traditional media to seeing how the holistic campaign works together.
Right.
So that's the end of the soapbox, I guess.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate everybody joining us today. I hope you've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Next week, we're doing
March
Final
Madness.
Four March Madness Bracket Challenge. Really excited. We definitely want to invite you to tune in. This is going to be important to have a live audience because we want members shouting out to us as we go. So be sure you tune in next week for 11:45 on Thursday next week. That would be the 15th of March. Other thing, today is the International Day of Women.
Yes.
And just want to give a shout out to all the hardworking women that we have. We really appreciate Grace, who's our coordinator, who helps us put this on every
Yes.
week, and appreciate Whitney and all the hardworking women who work in our office and our clients too.
Absolutely, because we all know that women run the world. So we're excited to have all of those team members.
Exactly. That's right. No, I'm right there with you. All right. Well, appreciate everybody for joining us today. Definitely tune in next week for March Madness. Thanks.
All right, thanks everybody.